Hello and welcome to the Morning Skate Podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell and a special guest, Doug Leby, makes his triumphant return to the pod to discuss February, October 4th, daily fantasy hockey slate.
We're just already in mid-season form. That's why.
Yes.
There's Doug with the epic save. Doug, how are you doing? How was your off season? Did you do anything fun?
Well, I don't know about an off season. I'm in my second year of my PhD program now, and things are turns out school's kind of hard, and I just work all the time pretty much, which sucks. So I haven't been able to work on hockey as much as I would have liked, but we're going to talk about some of the stuff that I've been working on. Hopefully we'll get done here sometime soon, but I did get to go outside the country for the first time a couple weeks ago to Mexico, and I'm going to Australia at the end of this week to present as part of my course of study, I guess. I'm presenting a talk on removing animal agriculture from the U.S. agriculture system, and so that's pretty cool. And I ran a half marathon last weekend, so
I didn't know that.
Pretty cool.
I don't just run any of these things.
So yeah, half marathon. In the men's 18 to 24 group, there were like 250 of us, and I came in fourth to last. Which was pretty impressive considering like I came in like the middle of the pack overall, but like these 18 to 24-year-old males were not messing around.
So we're gonna have to get you some Morning Skate Podcast branded gear.
With what?
Preferably the name on the front, since no one's gonna be looking at your back. But
when they turn around, and be like, "Is that kid okay?"
Yes,
well, maybe it needs to be on the back for when I'm crawling and they're running by.
No, when they're giving you CPR. Free advertising.
That's on the Morning Skate logo.
All right, and DJ, nobody cares. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I got a really busy day tomorrow. Got my big presentation. I got to open a fake checking account, and I got to go first because I told the instructor I needed to mentally prepare for the Sabres game, and I needed to go first. And he died laughing. He's a Sabres fan, so he said, "You're going first." So I'm getting ready. Get ready. Big day. Big day.
Good for you.
M&T Bank.
Yeah.
They don't sponsor us yet, but I'll get it.
So we've got a little 4-game Wednesday slate going. Hopefully, the big money is to come. We've got a crazy Capitals onslaught, 6-0 currently, and then a tie game in Toronto, which I'm sure nobody has suspected. But instead of focusing on those, we're going to just do a little bit of an intro to, I guess, the season. You know, we have Doug on to kind of to MC our, I guess, preseason festivities. So, Doug, I'll give you the floor. The Sim is obviously a huge tool as a part of the Morning Skate podcasts. What we offer to the community, not just me and DJ clowning around on a podcast here, but some real data. When you go to morningskatepod.com/the-sim. So the Sim is just an awesome tool with projections. I mean, they're free to use projections. But tell me a little bit about, what you've been working on and what you think is to come for the Sim this season.
Yes, I would agree with you that Morning Skate Pod does produce a lot of huge tools. But I would say that the Sim is probably the hugest of all the tools. The hugest of all the tools that is a part of Morning Skate Pod. But we have a few very large tools. But yeah.
Get out of here.
It was just the way you said it. You said, Doug, the Sim is just a huge tool. I was like, wow, thanks so much. And me too. But yeah. So yeah, the Sim, for those of you that were here last year, we had the Sim on the website. We do this year. It's just morningskatepod.com/the-sim. But yeah, so it's free projections. Totally free, never not going to be free. But yeah, so basically never not going to be free. Basically my background is in statistics and data science, and my PhD is in data analytics. So I don't know, this is just the stuff I like to do. So I've actually been working with a guy that I met through this community, Morning Skate Pod, Steven. Shout out to Steven. I know he's listening. And he wanted me to talk about the work that I do with sheep stomachs, but I'm going to save everyone on that because he hates it. He doesn't want to hear about that. But yeah, he's been helping me a lot with just like, he's the one who actually designed our website and the actual Sims interface. So big props to him. He's been invaluable to our team. But yeah, so I've sort of done the data work behind that, generating the projections every night. So basically, when you go on our website, what you see is all the players and just their information, but then also we provide projections on ownership. And then I have magnitude, frequency, and payoff stats. So those are just basically how, if a player exceeds his value, how much is he going to exceed his value by? How often does he exceed his value based on his salary? And then the expected value, which is just how often times the amount that he gets when he exceeds his value. So pretty straightforward, those three. And so then, sort of backed by popular demand from last year, we're going to do pickle stats again. So pickles, I think it was supposed to, what is it supposed to stand for? Player index for cash lineups, but I would just say play in your cash lineups, PICL. So the pickle stat is just basically magnitude and frequency, except weighted optimally for cash lineups. So it weights frequency more. So frequency would be how often you meet your salary-based expectation. And so when you're on the site and you're looking for cash lineups, I think the pickle stat helps a lot more because it just weights the frequency a little bit higher while still taking into account how many points your guys projected to have. So that's the other thing. And then leverage just takes into account all of those factors, and then ownership as well. So how much leverage can you get off of a guy based on how much he's going to produce compared to how much the field is expected to own him. I will say that the ownership percentage isn't perfect, but I will say that it does do a good job of showing relative ownership. So like tonight, like you could see that Tavares was going to be owned a little bit more than Matthews on average. And I was looking, and that was about what happened, and that Ovechkin was going to be owned a little bit less than all of them. And so you could see those sorts of things in the ownership. The numbers themselves don't always work exactly. Ovechkin was exactly right tonight, like within 0.1% exactly right. But Tavares was way off. I mean, it was just like he was like 20, but he was really like 35 in the $5 or whatever. So yeah. I mean, it's mostly just for relative ownership, but it does for, at least for me, prove to be pretty helpful. So take the leverage with a grain of sand. But I think all of the stats, just I wanted to go over them just because sometimes there's some confusion as to what each of them means. But yeah, all of those are on the site and they're updated every couple hours leading up to game time, starting at midnight the night before the game. So you can go on the site and see those.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to understand at the first glance, just because, we're used to seeing, they're projected to get this many points, and that's it. But as Doug was alluding to, there are so many things that go into a daily fantasy, like projection, that can't really be summarized in one number. Like the pickle score obviously is kind of a sum of a bunch of numbers, but even then, that's kind of geared for cash games, and payoff is more geared for, I would say, GPPs, just because that's the overall payoff, or even leverage. All of those things go into your decision-making process when looking at an individual player. So it truly is important to, yes, sort by whatever statistic you want to go by, but, keep in mind that all of those guys are, it kind of almost groups them into tiers. That's how I use it. And it's like, these guys are in the top tier of plays today. And I kind of sort through them and say, okay, now I need some, value guys to make this lineup work. And the correlational aspect of just kind of looking for guys on the same line and same power play unit, it's just really beneficial. So if you have yet to check it out, be sure to go to morningskapepod.com/thesim, with a dash between the and sim. It's right on our homepage as well. There's a link to it. So it's pretty easy to find. And anything else you want to say about it before we move to kind of a little game to get us into the new season?
Yeah, and I mean, I know I mentioned it in the group me, I think yesterday maybe. We are still working on trying to get improvements to the Sims interface and stuff like that. Just I think the big thing that we want to do is just be able to make it a little more interactive for you. So if you want to make some changes, so I know one thing Matt and I were talking about just right before this is if there are, so it gets most of its lineup information from Fantasy Labs. So if there are errors in there, we want to make it so that we can change those. And so we're going to have that this year that we didn't have last year. So that can be annoying because the sim will calculate based on a guy being power play 2 when he's really not power play at all or whatever. And then it throws all the projections off. So we're going to have that this year. Definitely. That's an easy fix, just something that was overlooked last year. That's something that we can definitely do this year. And the other thing Matt and I were just talking about that's probably worth mentioning is just trying to get earlier projections for the next day out, because I know some of you guys like to look at what the next day has in store a little earlier than the Sims page will show it, because it doesn't update until midnight of the night that the games actually play on. So we're going to be looking into that too. Just be patient with us, especially with me and with Steven. I know Steven's a busy guy. He's moving. He's got a job. He's an actual adult. I'm not even an adult and I'm busy. So, I mean, we got other stuff, but I mean, this is certainly something that we like doing. So we're here to take your advice and criticisms and suggestions or whatever and take them into account, but we will get to it when we get to it, sort of thing.
And
but yeah, we're hoping, go ahead.
And the salary filter is one thing that I think we've been discussing, and I mean, I'm not working on it because I have no talent, but that's something that we know is like something that could be very useful, and personally that I would find very useful. So I end up
on good authority that we are working on the salary filter currently right now.
Oh, awesome. So kind of what I do is like a workaround to that is I just select all and paste it into Excel, and that's kind of how I do it when I need it, because it's doesn't take that long to sort and filter. But
it probably wouldn't be too hard to export to add a feature to let you guys export it to a CSV too. If people say that'd be useful, I'm pretty sure we could probably do that.
That would be cool. Maybe
Steven was probably gonna kill me or whatever when he hears it and says, like, "Oh no, that'd be impossible, Doug. What are you talking about?" So yeah, don't talk to me when it never happens. But
even something to kind of like make it interactive with lineup optimizers would be very interesting too. But obviously that's a ways away. But things that we're discussing and working on, we're a pretty shoestring operation with literally no budget. So it's just fun to kind of like have something like this to offer people. That's mostly at this point, it's been the brainchild of Doug and Steven, but it was something that I was like, oh, this would be cool if we could do. And it's like, hey, Doug, can you do this, this, and this? And he's like, sure. And then from there, it grabbed a life of its own. So, I
was just looking through like super, super old versions of the sim back when it was more like a simulation that we ran on every player from like 3 years ago. I was looking through because I had them all saved in the drive when I transferred over to my new PC, and I was looking at those like, wow, these were like the originals, like writing everything from scratch in Python. That was really nostalgic. But we are still working. I'm still working on updating the stats on the back end, but as I said earlier, it really won't change what you guys see on the front end at all, but it will be a little bit, the actual calculation will be a little bit more streamlined than it was, but you guys really won't notice any of that. So when you see the optimized, when you see the projections, just think that I put some work in on the back that you didn't even know happened to get them like that.
All right. So let's cut the sim talk right there. Thank you for your efforts, Doug and Steven, when you're listening to this. Couldn't thank you guys enough. Hopefully, I'm hoping one day to take down a massive GPP to just send a little something your guys' way for your efforts and helping out the community. But, that's, it's much appreciated. Let me just tell you from all of us at the Morningscape podcast. So DJ, if you fell asleep over there,
No.
I think Doug, you have a little, I don't even know what you call it, an activity for us to kind of.
So last year, I think we did, I don't remember if we did most missed. So basically what I did this year was looked at all players' points compared to their salaries and basically came up with just a basic formula of your salary-based point or your salary-based point expectation, and then which guys exceeded that expectation by the most so I looked at just the second half of the season after January 1st. I started with, I think, and so which guys exceed it by the most on average in the second half of the season. I think last year we did it by ownership percentage, but I couldn't get the ownership percentage for all the games through the playoffs, so I didn't want to do that.
Right.
So I have every game from January 1st on salary-based expectation, and then whether or not they exceeded it, and then by how much. And so I have the top 5 guys that exceeded it, and then I can also give you the top 5 guys that were under it. And then I can also, by using that formula, I can calculate what their salary should have been over that time period if it went along with traditional DraftKings pricing over
Interesting.
that time.
Okay, so kind of like undervalued guys to end last season and theoretically to begin this season as well. Like, DraftKings has made some changes, but
that's certainly why we talked about it last year, and I think it still holds. I think a couple of these are gettable. I think some of these, at least for me, I didn't play a ton, but I think some of these are just impossible.
All right.
But we'll see if you guys get. I have the top 6, so if you can get any of the top 6, I'll give you guys massive credit. I remember last year you guys surprised me and actually got some of them right. So we'll see if you guys can do that again this time.
So DJ, do you want the first guess?
Okay, so just so I'm clear on this, it's just points above basically salary expectation. That's
Right.
all we're basically doing. But,
So
I mean,
I'll give you guys a couple of hints.
No hints yet. No hints yet.
No hints. Okay.
I have one guess.
You go first.
All right. I think Zibanejad could be one.
He is not one.
No. All right.
What about? I don't know if that's gonna be right. I'm gonna go with. No, I don't want the hints. I'm gonna say Klingberg.
No. So I'll start with just a simple hint, which is that none of these guys' average salary is extremely high. So there's 2 that's average salary is above 5,000, and 2 that's above 4,000, and then 2 that's above 3,000 in the top 6. So like they're a little spread. But there's nobody that's like super high. Yeah, to exceed your salary-based expectation on average would be very tough if your salary is above 6,000.
All right. Gallagher.
No.
No. Wow. Okay.
All right.
So
I got one. I'm sorry. I got one that's a bit off the wall, and I feel like it could be right. Patrick Nemeth.
No.
Oh, okay.
That was a good guess, though.
Yeah, he's a block shots god.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking maybe he could have slipped in.
Eric Stahl?
No.
He was pretty expensive to end the year.
So actually, 3 or 4 of these are on the same. 3 of them are on the same team, I think.
Wow.
I'll check to make sure that one of them, I'm not sure what team he plays for. This was one that I was like, who is that? When I read it. But the first one I think is the most obvious. Who was the player, big name player, who just kept exceeding everyone's expectations through the whole second half of the season? Who was just
Sam Reinhart?
not just your expectations.
Sorry.
Kyle Palmieri and Taylor Hall?
No.
Wow, that's a good guess. That was a good guess.
I thought that.
Okay, never mind. I was wrong about who one of these players played for. So,
McDavid?
Wild Bill Carlson?
No, his salary would be way too high.
Yeah, I figured.
I know. What about? I don't know.
Who really exceeded everyone's expectations to end the year?
He got traded.
Wow.
I'm feeling like someone got to be in Colorado.
Evander Kane.
No.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's a good guess.
Jeez. This is crazy.
I didn't realize it was going to be this tough for you guys. All right, well, he scored 5.86 points on average over 111 attempts, or no, not 111 attempts. Sorry.
This is insane.
Yeah, 5.86 points on average. His true salary should have been around 8,000 over the time period.
What? Matthew Barzal?
Oh.
No,
he got traded.
Oh, he got traded. Oh, you're right. He got traded. Oh, yeah. Matthew Barzal did not do that. He got traded during the season.
No, after the season was over.
Oh, Dougie.
Nope.
No.
No. Oh my God. Who in the world? So he's around 5K.
He's playing today.
Erik Karlsson?
He's the real deal.
No
James
way.
Neal?
Yeah.
No
Didn't get
way.
traded either.
His
but-
average
Wow.
salary.
No, he signed as a
He got
free
signed.
agent, but okay.
Oh, okay. Whoops. Well, okay. Well, I must have
Same.
thrown you guys off. All right. Well, I'll just give you the top ones because I don't think you guys aren't even getting anywhere near.
All right, wait. How about we
these
both
ones.
get 3 more guesses, and they got to be kind of fast.
Okay.
What do you guys
Go.
Pollock.
Jacob Brana.
No.
Jacob Brana's not there either.
All right, what positions, Doug? Do you know?
I
have
don't
that?
have them. I don't have them
You
handy.
got teams? Just give us some teams.
One of them plays for Edmonton now. One of them, I think, plays
Tobias
for.
Ryder,
No.
Darnell Nurse.
Ty Ratty,
No.
Tyrati.
um,
All right. I
Ryan
think
Hopkins?
we're good.
Tampa Bay.
Braden
so,
Point.
so Jason Garrison was the low one.
Wow.
He was only
Okay.
3,000, but he
Isn't he in the
averaged
AHL now?
about 4
I think
points
so.
over the
He's in
at
the
the end
AHL.
of the year. Braden Point,
Braden
Palat,
Point. Yep.
David Savard, and then Matthew Perreault was 6.
Oh, Matthew Pro should have
Okay.
been a gas. That
Yeah.
that was
All right.
all right.
Well, so let's finish it with something that will make you guys feel better because it's easier, which is the biggest pickles over the last half of the season. So this would be the highest average pickle score since January 1st. So this would be heavily weighted on the frequency
Tavares.
of upside times the amount of upside, or like times the magnitude of their upside. So these are
Okay.
all-star players with extremely high salaries, but they're also really consistent players.
All right, DJ, you said
Tavares.
And there
Tavares.
are 2 defensemen on this list.
Okay.
I'll give you guys just the top 5. 2 defensemen.
is Tavares on there?
No,
No. Ovi. I mean, Ovi's one.
no, he's not one.
Wow.
Just through the end of the year, he wasn't one. I think he was
What
through the
about
whole year.
McDavid?
No.
Kucherov.
Yes, he was number 1.
Okay, that makes sense. 2 defensemen. I'd say one of them is, Burns.
No.
Carlson.
Wow.
Brett or Eric Carlson.
No.
Wow.
Neither Carlson.
Interesting. Tyson Berry.
No.
Was McKinnon one of the?
No.
Klingberg again.
Man, I thought you guys were going to be
Man,
nailing these
we
ones.
are bad.
All right, Bufflin.
No. I think you're
Ghost is
missing
there.
2
Yeah.
high
Ghost.
frequency.
Ghost has got to be it.
Ghost.
No.
No. What?
I wish I had the full. I only took out the top 5. I wish I had taken out the whole list for you so I could
Dougie?
compare where these guys were. No,
Hamilton?
so your defensemen are both Western Conference defensemen, and the 2 offensemen you're missing are both Eastern Conference defensemen that play, or Eastern Conference offensemen that play on the same team.
Malkin and Crosby.
Yes, those are the 2. They're
Oh.
2 and
Boom.
5. 3
Okay.
and 4 are Western Conference defensemen.
Roman Yossi.
No.
Doughty?
Yes, he's
Yeah.
3.
Sim
Wow.
loves Doughty.
Matt Dumba.
No.
Uh,
Yeah, I guess to be fair, the pickle scores are the Sims ratings
Right.
of players, so it's
Yeah.
not as so it would, although it does recalibrate based on every performance, it wouldn't necessarily get like learned.
Adler?
No,
Giordano.
no.
Okay.
Oliver
You
Ekman
mentioned
Larsson.
him on the pod yesterday.
Ooh.
Although he's not, is he playing today? I don't
On
think
tour?
he's playing.
If it's Montour, I would just like
No, it's not.
Right.
on tour.
cry. Dougie Hamilton? I thought we said him. Yeah, I thought we
Yeah.
said him.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. I think we're out of ideas.
All right,
Let's,
it's Cam Fowler.
Oh, wow.
wow. Yeah, he is playing tonight, but
Yes, you did mention him because he is playing.
yeah, that would be why we mentioned him.
Yes.
All right. So that was a, I guess that's kind of what the Sim's going to tell you. It's going to tell you those guys that you aren't thinking of to be like, hey, maybe these guys are just safe enough cash plays to kind of, literally they're so safe they might slip to the back of your mind. So
Yeah, I think Pickle especially is so focused on frequency of meeting your expectation, not so much on the upside. That's probably why the guys are a little more, not obscure, but not the guys that you would think of as much. I know I'd sent something to DJ and Matt over the summer at some point that like at every point salary-based point expectation, your defenseman is 5% more likely to meet that expectation than a forward is, which is like the ultimate reason why you should play 3 defensemen in cash. Like, to me, for every point you go up, your defenseman is still 5% more likely to meet his expectation. His total value isn't as high. That's why he's a defenseman, but his likelihood of meeting his salary-based expectation is 5% higher than his offenseman at the exact same salary.
Yeah, and I think that's a component of the fact that like block shots are so important, and two, that like scoring in hockey, first off, the secondary assists can be picked up by basically anyone on the ice. They're essentially random. And secondly, is that shots from the point are worth just as much as shots from right in front of the net in terms of like raw floor numbers. And the true upside comes when those shots go in the goal, which tend not to happen as often for defensemen. But yeah, I think, the data-based conclusion that 3 defensemen in cash is the best strategy. I think that's just another reason to kind of go along with that. What I think is now a relatively common thing. But it's definitely like the way I build my cash teams is basically I play the 3 defensemen I want first, and I don't really budge off of them, just because that's kind of how I feel like I lock in the most safety in my lineups. But all right, Doug, thank you for coming on and doing this little, I guess call it a fun little interlude before we get to the slate breakdown. So anything else to say before I know you're going to drop now?
No, I don't. Yeah, guys, let me know. Check out the site. Let me know if there's anything, like any issues with it. I know that the salary thing doesn't work, or the salary filter doesn't work, but other than that, let me know if there's any issues or whatever. We can totally work on that.
And where can we follow you on Twitter, Doug?
Oh, you can totally follow me on Twitter at Doug Liebe, Lieb as in boy E. But I mean, yeah, the Morning Skate Pod probably tag me tomorrow, so you don't have to remember how to spell that. But feel free to follow me. I tweet out some hockey stuff, some other analytic stuff.
And if you like esports stuff, Doug does a little bit of stuff there too. It's kind of cool. So, all right, we are going to take a quick break and then move into the slate breakdown for Thursday's slate. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a second.
Bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum.
DJ, there will be no music, so you are a great instrumental. All right, Doug, I'm guessing you're gonna wanna go.
I feel like maybe those numbers were just like completely wrong. I have no idea. The more I was reading, I was like, these don't sound right at all. But
I think the Kucherov, Crosby, Malkin one makes sense.
The Pickle one sounded right. I don't know about these salary-based expectation ones. These might have been wrong.
The thing with Garrison might have been few games.
Yeah,
Garrison could have had like a 7 block shot game, and yeah.
Well, so
Braden Point makes sense for sure because he fucking smashed all year.
Yeah, it's mostly the number of games in each player's sample is like widely varied for some reason. Like James Neal has like twice as many games in his sample as Braden Point does, which sometimes makes sense because like if there's any values for any of the like things for a player, it'll remove the whole thing. But that seems ridiculous that he would have twice as many entries. So I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't as stupid. I'll let you know what the actual one is tomorrow or something. But okay, all right.
Alrighty,
guys.
All right, thanks.
Jeez.
All right, so for the tiers, maybe like 2 guys in each tier, and then let's see. Quick, I think I want to do a quick, not game by game breakdown, but like the news and notes, injuries and so forth.
Sure. Let's just do that, and then we'll just do tiers. It's too big of a slate, and like this podcast is going on forever.
All right, I mean, that was only like 25 minutes, so we can do this in 25. That's fine. All right, let's get this show on the road. Leave a little silence, and we will get back on it.
Okay.
And we are back to cover the Thursday slate. So if you were, if you're here for the slate breakdown, coming right at you. We have 10 games, starting with Boston on a back-to-back at Buffalo. There, the news is the same as Wednesday night. Torrey Krug is out for an indefinite period of time, so make sure not to play Torrey Krug, and check out the Boston usage from Wednesday night. They're getting shelled, so things could change, but I would expect their first line to remain the same and their power play units to remain the same as well. Washington on a road back-to-back at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has some injury news. Justin Schultz is, I think, a game-time decision. It's not necessarily clear to me like what their plan is on the power play, but I would assume Chris Letang is there until told otherwise. The Islanders at Carolina. I don't think there's any injury-related news there. Nashville at the Rangers. Again, I guess not really a ton of news that we have that comes immediately to mind. Columbus at Detroit. Columbus is missing Seth Jones. He is out with, I believe, a knee issue or something along those lines. But yeah, he's out. Zach Werenski is going to take over as the main guy there. Chicago at Ottawa. Brady Tkachuk has been ruled out for Ottawa, leaving an already bad roster even more depleted. So that's that's troubling news for a team that kind of needs him for their excitement. Winnipeg at St. Louis. I don't think there's anything important there. Robbie Fabry is not ready to go yet, but he's not necessarily a DFS piece that we're looking at currently. Arizona at Dallas. All good. Minnesota at Colorado. Pretty good there too. And Philly at Vegas. Best of my knowledge, there is no injury concerns impacting the daily fantasy field of play there. So there's a quick game-by-game news and notes. Now what we're going to do is go tier by tier on this huge slate to kind of pick and choose some of our top plays and do a little bit of discussion on each, and then we'll do some top stacks and get out of here. So DJ, any of these games stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, Boston's on a road back-to-back. They just got shelled. They're going to start Yaroslav Halak against Buffalo. I'm going to be at that game, so I'm extremely excited for that game in general. But I think Buffalo, the new look Buffalo Sabres, we do have lines for them. I mean, I think they're a decent option here. Are they the only team playing a road back-to-back?
Pittsburgh is playing Washington.
So. Yeah, but not a true road back-to-back, but a back-to-back at least.
Right.
So that's fair. And then that's it.
That's it, though. Yep.
Back-to-back. So, I mean, I like to target the back-to-backs a bit. I just think that I don't want to let my biases get involved in this game too much, especially on the podcast. But at the same time, I have nothing against giving that first line for Buffalo a chance. They should have pretty good power play correlation as well. So I think the Eichel Skinner stack, while being a bit expensive, I don't think it's egregious by any means. So I'm definitely for it. I don't know if I go with a defenseman there, at least to start the year. I mean, you could talk me into Ristolainen, but I'm definitely going to fade Dahlin to start at that price. So, Matt, what are your thoughts, I guess, on this game? And I mean, just really any team if you want.
Yeah, I mean, that first line is immediately interesting. I think Jeff Skinner is wildly underpriced given his role on this team. That's one of the guys we'll get to. And I think I'm looking to fade the defenseman here. I'm not really looking to play Dahlin, Risto, like Lotto until we actually get like a firm power play unit. Like I haven't seen enough certainty to think that it'll go like the entire game like that. New captain Jack Eichel, by the way. Little narrative there, playing against the Boston Bruins, his hometown team, in his first game as team captain. So he's one of these guys in the upper tier of center. Another guy that I'm looking at in the upper tier of center is Nathan MacKinnon. He's playing at home against a Minnesota team that, I think they'll be fine, but MacKinnon at home last year was just a print fest. I have no reason to suspect he won't play. He has a day-to-day tag on DraftKings, but I haven't seen anything about his injury, so I'm guessing he's fine. And what I really like about MacKinnon is that he has a really nice prices on his stacking mates, which we will also cover. But I think that's probably where I'm starting. And then DJ, who's your other maybe high tier center if you're looking at a guy besides Eichel and besides MacKinnon?
I mean, those are probably my top two. I mean, I think it'd be fair to throw Malkin in the mix at that price. I don't hate that price at all on a back-to-back Washington team. I think he could get overlooked. Probably, other than that, would dip down into the next tier, though.
Okay. Yeah, I think Tyler Sagan's also a really safe play as well. His minutes should be really high up there. And against Arizona at home, like he's the most expensive, but it's not really that high price. So looking into the mid tier, though, I'm considering that about the 6K range.
Mhm.
I actually kind of find most of these guys a little bit too expensive. Like Sebastian Aho is an awesome player, and I think he could be primed for a breakout, but he's already priced like he's about to break out. Like the guy ended last year, like kind of around this range. But like now he's 6.3. I don't really see that being viable. I'm actually looking all the way down to a guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois against this Detroit team at 5,300. I think he's a legitimate first line, first power play type of guy. And I like the savings that you get on some of these guys in the upper fives. But DJ, any thoughts on the mid tier?
Yeah, no, I mean the mid tier is definitely it's fine. I'm not opposed to Derek Stepan at 5K. I know that's kind of dipping down a little bit, but all the rest of the guys in that region, I think he's probably the best option there. I don't think we don't have confirmed lines yet for Arizona, so I don't want to get too deep into that. But if he's out there with guys like Clayton Keller, I'm not afraid to target Dallas a little bit. I think Arizona's a bit better than advertised, so I'm totally okay with that. Other than that, I'm pretty skeptical of most people in this range overall as a cash play at least. I mean, obviously GPP, you're going to stack a center with a wing. It's probably going to be the way you go. So I think there's guys here that are stackable. So I guess I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about Stepan. I feel like he's almost kind of like a boring play here. Like, he's going to get all the role, like you said. He's fine. I don't really have much to say about that. Dallas will have two very young guys in the roster on Thursday night, Miro Heiskanen and Julius Honka. Actually, I guess Honka's like 23. He's not that young, but could be a learning curve there, especially on defense. And we know that like Klingberg, Lindell, none of those guys necessarily scare me defensively. So I'm probably going to avoid it, but I can see the Arizona if you want it. Elsewhere in this mid tier, Jason Spezza at 4,400 is an interesting exposure play to the Dallas power play 1. I just don't see his minutes being as low as they were last year under Hitchcock. I could be wildly wrong on that, but I think 4,400 is enough on a guy who, given the, maybe he's just aged out of the fact that he was a productive shooter, but like as of 2 or 3 years ago, the guy was still a decent shooter. So like the floor would be there. Similarly, I think a guy with a little bit more safety is Jordan Staal at 4,600. Not a guy who's going to get you like those 2 to 3 points with his shots and blocks, but he's going to play a ton of minutes. He's going to be out there in all situations. And he's even earned a power play 1 job, it appears. We've gotten a little bit of mixed signals because they've ran a number of power play units. The Hurricanes have, but that's kind of a spot where all of their guys are priced way up. We're looking at Martin Necas at like 4,900, despite having never played an NHL game. I think he hasn't even yet played a game yet. So like the entire team's priced up except for Jordan Staal. So that could be an interesting way to get Carolina exposure should you want it against the Islanders. Any thoughts on the mid tiers? Looking through the guys here, I'm not all that interested.
I think I definitely would dip down a little bit lower. I think that there's options here for stacking, but I don't think there's any like standalone guys that really get me excited. But I think when you get down a little bit lower, a guy like Jack Roslovic, who it looks like at this point will be out there with Vesalainen and Ehlers, is interesting, especially because that's kind of like the third line, but at the same time, I think they'll roll those 3 lines pretty regularly. I don't like targeting Blues, but at 3.6, I think he has a big enough role that hopefully can get 14, 15 minutes and some power play time. And then a little bit cheaper, I think 100 cheaper is Philip Hedl, or Philippe Hedl, whatever. He actually was on the first power play unit for the Rangers. So it was Shattenkirk, Buchnevich, Hedl, Kreider, and Zibanejad. He's a one-off play that I really, really like a lot.
Yeah,
I know.
My only concern with him is the minutes might not be there. I think he's more of a GPP play because he's playing fourth line 5-on-5, and it seems like he's kind of like the fifth guy going with the entire first line of the Rangers and the Shattenkirk. But I do really like his game and think that's a nice price for him. Tyson Jost is that same role. It seems like he's going to be on the first power play. I know they have, they flipped around last year a lot, but he was there in the preseason, and his minutes are a little bit safer in my opinion. So I actually prefer Jost a little bit over Hedl, but I think those are two of the value plays you're looking for. Anyone else you're interested in, or can we move the wing?
I mean, I think there's guys here that I'm interested in, but I don't know the role yet. Like I know one kind of, if you played in the preseason, Mikhail Vorobov.
Yeah,
saying that right? He had a very, very nice role in Philadelphia, but they kind of are rolling out 1As and 1Bs as far as teams, so I don't know where he'll be. A guy to keep an eye on as well is Victor. I'm definitely gonna mess up his last name. Edsel, another guy that I'm interested in looking into what he's doing. And then I think I'm probably good. I mean, there's other guys here like Barrett Hayton made the team for Arizona.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
Holy crap. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, you're an idiot. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know like how well he profiles, and I don't know if he'll even draw in the lineup. But just kind of some guys that I'd keep an eye on. And I feel like if you're not in the group me, join in. We'll talk about it. And I'll do my very, very best to tweet as much as possible. Like I mentioned, I'll be for a lot of regionals tomorrow early on. So if you listen to that part, but hopefully after that, I can kind of slip in the back and just be on my phone the whole time. So let's move over to wing.
I am absolutely floored that Hayton made the team. That is, oh my God. Okay. Yeah, let's go to wing. Again, 10-game slate. There's a lot of options here. So do you have a preferred option up top here?
I mean, a preferred guy in the top tier. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of guys I don't mind stacking a bit. I love Panarin. I really think Panarin is going to be a beast to start the year. I think he'll get pretty good minutes and run, and Detroit's pretty bad. I also love Tarasenko, although Winnipeg's not a team I love to target. But Tarasenko does pair pretty well with O'Reilly, but O'Reilly's not someone I like to play in GPPs or really cash, although they are probably going to be line 1 and power play 1. But Tarasenko with Porrieko could be interesting to me because he got the power play 1 nod over Pietrangelo, and that's going to get overlooked. So,
interestingly, Dunn was getting filtered in there too. So
he was as well, but I have no idea. It's definitely a risk.
Yeah, what concerns me there is that the handedness with Parayko and Dunn, they're different-handed guys, so I don't really even understand why they would be like switching out roles. Like, it doesn't really make sense to whatever. It's more of a, I think, confusion to me than it is like something that I'm like interested in. But I do think Parayko's like on that power play could be fun. But Tarasenko and his line mate Pat Maroon could be a nice little stack. 4,300 for Maroon. O'Reilly's a bit pricey for me, like you mentioned, but yeah, I was actually going to mention Artemi Panarin is like my favorite wing here too, just looking at things. And then another, I think Ovechkin, even on a back-to-back, is just a nails play. If you can manage to fit him in your lineups and feel good about it as a one-off, I think that's always an outstanding play. So that's probably the extent of the upper tier at wing. Patrick Laine at 6,300. I wish we had a firmer idea of what was happening at 5-on-5 with the Jets, because if they're going to use Laine as almost like a guy who rolls out there with Scheifele and Wheeler at like, almost like a hero line, instead of Kyle Connor at points, then I would have more interest in Laine, because that power play role in 6,300 feels way too low. But if Roslovic, Ehlers, and whoever, Vesalainen are going to be a line, that leaves Little and Perreault to be feeding Laine, and I'm not sure how comfortable I am with that in terms of like Laine's minutes projection. So I'm kind of going to wait and see, I think, before I go all in on that. Anyone else in this like 6K range that you're keeping an eye on this slate?
Not really. I mean, again, there's stackables here.
Yeah.
If you really fall in love with Crosby, Gensel, but I don't think that's where I'm at right now. I do think this next tier has a lot of interest, especially right around the Skinner range. You got Skinner, and then you have you have both the line mates with McKinnon, which is going to get overlooked because Minnesota is pretty good defensively. And then you already mentioned Connor. I don't hate the play. I don't love the play. But I think Phil Kessel at 57 is also like really, really interesting to me. I think that's really like if I was building a cash lineup, this is kind of be my home right in here.
I could see playing 3 guys from like who are 5,700, Skinner 5,600. I would play Rantanen over Landeskog personally, but I think that's just because Rantanen has the puck on his stick more. But not very strongly. I don't feel very strongly either way. But yeah, I think these prices are where we're going to make our money on Thursday. Especially if you're playing Eichel and McKinnon, like you can make a good lineup with, playing the full line stacks of those 2 teams in particular. Just because, there's some value on defense. Like there's a lot of value everywhere that you can fit in one of these high price stacks that actually isn't as high price as you might think. So that's where my initial interest is. The next guy that I think I'm looking at is James Van Riemsdyk at 5,000. I really like Van Riemsdyk's role with the Flyers. My belief is that he's going to get the same sort of power play production that he had in Toronto with a whole lot more 5-on-5 time on ice. I think he's going to be firmly in their top 6 instead of relegated to a third line. He was kind of a power play specialist in Toronto with Matthews and Kadri and all the talent they had there. He was used primarily on the power play, but he's going to get to play with either, a Voracek, a Nolan Patrick, a Claude Giroux. I'm pretty sure it's going to be with Voracek on that second line, but I really like JVR's price at only 5,000. He's a consistent producer, and I just don't think that price makes much sense given his talent.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, another guy down here in price. One thing I'm really noticing about the pricing on this slate is that it's extremely matchup dependent. Like a guy like Jaden Schwartz is out there with Sheldon Kyrou at 5,200 just because it's at Winnipeg. I mean, yeah, it's Winnipeg and they're good, but it doesn't mean that the other team isn't going to score on them. I don't know. Jaden Schwartz seems really, really cheap to me as well, while other guys on Carolina seem really expensive to me going against the Islanders. Like, I understand that, like, yeah, they might win the game, but it doesn't – I don't like to fall into that trap too much. So I think the pricing is definitely exploitable on this slate.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, we're trying to go down the list a little more now. I love Oliver Bjorkstrand, as always, at 4 or 5. I mean, he's looking like he'll be slotted on that line 2 with Wenberg and Foligno. I mean, that makes him the trigger guy all day. And Detroit is bad, and this is not a bad price at all. So definitely like Bjorkstrand and next tier.
Power play 2 role there for him. Same exact tier realistically. Chris Kreider and Pavel Buchnevich. Yeah, I don't want to be picking on Nashville too much, but in GPPs, I am absolutely 100% going to have a full line New York Rangers 1 stack of Zibanejad, Buchnevich, and Kreider. There is no reason they should combine to be 13,000 in total. On this slate, they allow you to do a lot of fun things, so that's a pretty good play. And then Sam Reinhart in GPPs as well, 4,400. First power play, first line. He's going to play the minutes. So I think those are all very strong plays. We've already mentioned Pat Maroon. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the 4,000 range. I'm not seeing anyone else that I would much rather play over these guys. So let's go garbage diving. Dumpster diving, that's the term.
Garbage diving.
Let's dive into some garbage, DJ. What you got for me?
Down and dirty in the garbage. I mean, I don't know how deep we've gone, but Perreault is out there with Line A and Little. And, I mean, Doug mentioned him before. I've always liked Matthew Perreault. I think he's an okay option at 4-3, but I think you probably should try to get up to Bjorkstrand 200 more. We're talking below 4. I mean, there's guys down here that are probably going to get decent run. I don't know if I love them completely. I know Tyler Bertuzzi had power play 1 role. So did Rasmussen. I don't know much about Michael Rasmussen yet. He definitely is a bigger guy that seems to have a heavy shot. I have no idea how much he's going to use it. So those guys. And then Chicago had DeBrincat, Taves, and Dominique Cahoon.
Big
I don't know that much about the guy. Do you know much about him? I'll start looking him up a little bit more if you don't have much.
Yeah, I don't know much about him either. It kind of sounded to me, listening to Taze talk about him, is that he's more of the Zach Hyman type. Um, that's kind of like the why Taze likes playing with Cahoon is that, you know, he goes into the corners, he gets the puck. He doesn't really seem like a Alex DeBrincat type play creator. So that limits his upside to me, especially because he's not getting power play time that I want to target. So I would kind of prefer to go with at the same price to go with a more established offensive guy in Brett Connolly. He's not great, and he might be a bit popular after tonight's game, or I think I'm not sure if he scored or if he just had an assist or two, but he's had a pretty good game on that first line for Washington. So I think I'm going to lean Connolly in this price range if you need someone cheap, but I'm pretty sure I'm living in the mid tier on this slate in particular.
All right. Yeah, I agree with that. Is there anyone else that we wanted to dumpster dive for? Do you have any last guy? You mentioned Fogle before. that's
he doesn't seem that line doesn't seem to have stuck him with Teravainen and Aho, so that's the only thing there. There was one guy.
I mentioned Vesalainen as well. At 3-3, I think he could do worse. I don't know if we'll get power play 2 runtime or not, but I think we'll have a better indication tomorrow. I mentioned Jordan Kyrou, who was going to be with Schwartz and Chen. I do know about power play. Give me 3 or 4 seconds. Kyrou is definitely line 2. Where did those power play lines go? Sneaky power play lines that I retweeted. They're everywhere. There's so much blue stuff because so many young guys made that team.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh my God, look at all. And one of their guys got murdered. Tom Wilson out 20 games.
Yeah, that's I guess we didn't touch on that. That's kind of crazy. I honestly didn't expect it.
No Kyrou on the power play. Sad,
okay.
But
okay. Yeah, I actually think that will do it for the guys I was interested in. I think I was thinking of maybe a defenseman.
Well, I don't see anyone either. Why don't we?
Dylan Sakura didn't make the team, but his name stood out to me. But then he ended up not making the team. So let's go over to defense. There's no Burns, no Carlson on this slate, or I should say Erik Karlsson. So it's a little bit less top heavy on defense. So we're looking at this range. To me, I think the number one play here is Shane Gostisbehere. He had such a good year last year, and I am so high on this Philly power play. Vegas pushes the pace. It's the exact sort of game Gostisbehere loves to play. I think that he's kind of my best bet for the money here. But do you have thoughts otherwise? Maybe from Dougie Hamilton at 5.6 up to the most expensive Roman Josi at 6.5, who you would play here?
Gostisbehere, Hamilton are probably top 2. I cannot believe how expensive Ryan Pollock is, but DraftKings is definitely listening to us.
I know that's crazy. He's not even getting a first power play time either, which is insane.
Oh, God, that's just so sad.
At least from what I've seen, I would love to see it. If he goes there, but
you could definitely talk me into Klingberg if you're throwing in that Sagan Klingberg stack. I'm always about it.
All right, how about?
But I think Gostisbehere is a little bit better.
How about Zach Werenski homecoming to Detroit? Clear number 1 here. No Seth Jones.
No Seth
Jones. Little bit of narrative though.
Little narrative. Little narrative can go a long way. And if you want to throw in that Panarin, Werenski, Bjorkstrand, just kind of little onslaught, little mini onslaught.
I would go Dubois over Bjorkstrand.
Okay. Play them all.
Play them all. Lock of the slate. Absolute lock of the slate, DJ.
Bum, ba-dum-bum. Lock of the slate by Matt Moody. Go.
Tyson Barrie. Yep. 4,800. That price is absurd. I'm sorry.
That's a little cheap.
He is way too good to be priced down here. Looking at what the guys in the 6,000 range are just as good as producers as Tyson Barrie. Tyson Barrie last year, his shots per 60, at 5-on-5, were so good. His power play time is incredible as well. McKinnon feeding you pucks. This guy is way too good to be at this price. So, especially the way he ended last year, that's kind of he's trending in the right direction. I have no reason to suspect that this is going to be a step backwards for him this year. And, even if you just look at the DK points per game, he stands out. So, that's the lock of the slate.
it's like he's such a smash play, and like people might actually play Darlene over him. And like I love Darlene, and yeah, like wow, he's 4,700. Someday he might be really expensive and very good, but
Yeah.
right now it's no shot. Like you got to play Tyson Berry. He's in such a good spot here. He's going to be power play 1. You know,
And
all the
okay,
bells.
let me say this: 10-game slate. You're going to read a lot of things. A lot of smart people are going to say Tyson Berry's to play. I would not let that deter you from playing him. Ownership is going to be so spread out here, especially with the new money coming to the NHL. I do not see Tyson Berry being like popular enough to make it altering my decision making process. Like, you know, I think he's just a clear best play. You should play him. I'm fine one-offing him in GPPs as well. Like, you know, even if I'm making 10 lineups and some of them I don't have McKinnon, like Tyson Berry, I think is as good a one-off play as there is. You know, here just because of his shot floor. He even blocks some shots too, and his obvious power play scoring and assist upside. So I just want to say he's the lock of the slate. And DJ, anyone else in this 5K-ish range that you are looking to play? I know you mentioned Darlene.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to play. I mean,
Right.
Porrieko, I think is there. I think he's really good. I think he's definitely he proved to me last year that I think he could be a more valuable DFS asset than his price is right
Sure.
now.
Yep.
I think at 4 or 5, he's a fine play, and I'm just not afraid to put a little bit against Winnipeg. Like I think that they'll drive enough pace to where playing against them isn't the worst thing. It's just will Hellebuyck stand on his head or not?
Sure.
And I don't mind just not worrying about that.
Yeah.
So why don't we check out anyone else a little bit cheaper?
All right, a little bit cheaper. So as hopefully everyone knows, Nate Schmidt is suspended for the first 25 games of the season.
Well, what do you do?
Bad things.
Dabble with a little bit of performance enhancers, just maybe a pin hair.
Apparently, actually, pretty interesting. If you listen to the Pacific Division preview on Fantasy Labs, Joe Holka, one of the hosts at Fantasy Labs that I was like doing that show with, he played college hockey. He knows Nate Schmidt like personally, and he was really worked up about it. Like he was really upset. Like he's saying that his friends in the league and in college are like petrified to go out to eat because of what Nate Schmidt claims to have happened and like that whole situation. So interesting story there. But anyways, for DFS purposes, Brad Hunt is likely to pick up a lot of the minutes that Schmidt is vacating, including a second power play role. You know, I think Hunt and Miller will be on that second power play unit, and Brad Hunt at 3,800 is a really good play given the projected increase in minutes I think you'll see. So 3,800 for Brad Hunt. That's one of the cheap guys that I really like. Is anyone else catching your eye down here?
I mean, Ekholm's price catches my eye, but I'm not.
Yeah, that's fair, but he's so bad for DFS. Like I don't really like it myself.
He's definitely like not a GPP play, but like I just like it.
Cholowski? Was he getting that first power play unit that you saw with Rasmussen and
oh man,
what's his face?
I have to go back and look. Hold on.
I think he was. The only issue there is that Cronwall could be could steal those opportunities.
He's line 2 power play. So the power play for Detroit, if you're gonna play Detroit, I mean, I don't know, why not get contrarian? Nyquist, Larkin, Bertuzzi was net front, Rasmussen and Daly. Line 2, or I mean, it sounds like they'll probably roll them out evenly. Athanasiou, Nielsen, Mantha, net front, Vanek, Cholowski. So it's there. And Cholowski was with DeKaiser on the point, which is seeming. Cromwell didn't skate. Also,
okay.
So
yeah,
I don't know what that means, but he could decent run. I mean, I think at this price, sure.
I'm not looking
to be a guy that profiles okay for DFS. But we're gonna find out. I mean, I think Heiskanen honestly interests me a bit. I just don't know what his role is. I was
gonna say him too. I saw a second power play for Dallas has Heiskanen on it over Honka, which is mind-boggling. Because not only is Heiskanen on it, Esa Lindell is on that power play unit too. So
you know what's not on it?
Honka.
Remieli.
Yeah, we do talk about that. This is a show that we talk about fantasy assets, DJ, not 5 minutes on Sabres fourth liners.
But when can we?
Next show, DJ. Next show.
Next show, perfect.
And Matt Grzelcyk on Wednesday night played 22 minutes in that shellacking at the hands of the Washington Capitals, as well as the first power play minutes. So I think he's another fine play at 3.4 here as well. He actually might be more interesting than these other guys because one, the first power play role, and two, we've seen him play now 21, 22 minutes. Things could change and he could be like a healthy scratch or something, but I really do not see that happening. So assuming nothing changes with Grzelcyk, I think he's actually a pretty strong play at 3,400. I'm not that concerned with road back-to-backs on the first game of the season. Like, it's just not – like, you're not that tired. You're a professional athlete. You play pretty much every day on the ice. Like, you're going to be a bit more tired, but it's nothing that I think impacts fantasy relevance. So, I think that's the last guy I wanted to mention.
The problem is that we don't know every single team's, what they're gonna do, and what have you. So it's like there's some guys that I would love to be like, this guy maybe could be a guy. One guy I know that was really impressive in Blackhawks training camp was Joe Haru. But I have no idea what he profiles like. Do you know much about him?
He was actually a pretty strong shooter in the OHL. Yeah, OHL, I think.
W.
Okay, because
71 games, and he played for the U20 Finland team. So, but
I have their stats up right now. Among defensemen, he was third in that league with over 3 shots per game. So definitely a solid offensive producer if he gets the role, but I just don't know what his role is going to be.
I'm just thinking if we find out tomorrow that
So Nick Kronwall's on IR.
Wait, what?
So Nick Kronwall is on IR, so that probably sets into stone. Who'd you say was on the first power play for them? Was it Hronek or no?
Daly. They just called him back up.
Right, yeah.
They sent him down and called him up.
Yeah, Daly's fine, 3.3 as well. Another name to keep in mind, but and
then Vince Dunn is the other one where it's like maybe he kind of takes over that first power play.
I'm not going to take that plunge against Winnipeg and with these other guys that have like confirmed roles here. So, and I love Vince Dunn, but I just don't think it's that smart.
All right, goalies, Skip, or
let's just look at the odds. Oh wait, we don't need to look at the odds because that's what the pricing's based on. So yeah, it's whatever. Like, there's so many goalies here. Let's just let's talk about stacks. Let's just talk about stacks.
All right, let's do some stacks.
Goalie, just play a guy that goes with one of your stacks here. Try to pay for a guy who's a favorite, but don't feel terrible if you can't. That's kind of my advice. But make sure you correlate it in GPPs and in cash games. Just fit as much, decent upside Vegas odds and like a team that you can stomach their defense. That's kind of all I would say in cash games. So let's pick 2 or 3 stacks each, and then do guaranteed goals and close out the show.
Okay. I was gonna go with the Buffalo stack. I think that the Eichel Skinner stack as a 2, I think you can add in Reinhardt as a 3rd and feel okay about it. But I'm really into it, honestly. I think it's gonna be. The thing is I feel like you're getting it now, and you're thinking like, well, this could be as cheap as it gets if they do blow up. At the same time, that's betting on the Sabres, which is like taboo. But yeah. I mean, there was a time where everyone slept on the McKinnon line. I definitely did. I remember there was a time when McKinnon was like 5'5". And we're like, yeah, I think you got to play McKinnon. And then all of a sudden, McKinnon just went banana land. And I remember I called him out. I'm like,
that was 2 years ago, I think.
That could have been. I just remember being like, where is this McKinnon guy? And then he just blew up. Yeah. And I'm not going to say that this is the same line. I'm not going to say the Sabres are going to make the playoffs. I already said they wouldn't. But I do think this has the upside. This line has the upside to really be a top 4.
But DJ, Micah said they would make the playoffs. Remember that?
I know that. And like when Micah says, I always agree. If the Sabres have any chance, it's through this line. And I think the narrative kind of funnels through. Krug's out, Halak's in net. And
the price is awesome too. Like you said, the prices are awesome on them. So
not that expensive.
And you mentioned McKinnon. I mean, I think his line mates are super inexpensive here, especially Tyson Barrie. I mentioned him as a lock of the slate. So I'm grabbing that first power play for Colorado in, a good number of my GPP lineups, like the 4-man stack. I'm locking it in. And if they score a couple, 2, 3, 4 goals on that power play, I'm set. So one more stack that I have in mind is actually a flyer stack. I really like that JVR call. that I had because I pat myself on the back a lot. 5,000 for a guy like JVR. He just has so much upside here that I think getting him, Shane Gostisbehere, and Claude Giroux for a power play one stack could pay dividends. So I'm going to keep an eye on if we can get more intel on who his 5-on-5 line mates are, and maybe if like, well, who that first power play unit is also running. I'm guessing Couturier is going to be on the first power play unit as well, but I want to make sure of that before I say anything else. But I think Claude Giroux, JVR, and Gostisbehere are a great power play stack, and they also have 5-on-5 correlation because Gostisbehere correlates with both of them whenever he's on the ice at 5-on-5. So I'm not that concerned with the lack of Giroux JVR correlation, even if they are on the same 5-on-5 line.
Okay, one more stack I'm going to say, and then one more note I have. I really like the Pierre-Luc Dubois, Panarin, Atkinson, Werenski. Any way you want to put it. I think you want to have Panarin and Werenski in there, though. Like, the more I look into that, the more I like it. And then my last note is to not be afraid of the Chicago-Ottawa stat at that game. I think that game will probably be the most overlooked. And Chicago will be starting – you want to know who, Matt? Or want me to just tell you?
The Cam Ward.
It's a Cam Ward, yes. Cam Ward has been a train wreck in preseason. And I think Mark Stone could be a fair option. I mean, like, that line is pretty bad.
5,900.
I think it's a fair option. I forgot to mention him, but he was kind of on my list. I mean, he's a guy that they have to shoot the puck. Like, who's going to shoot the puck on this team?
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Chabot, too, power play 1, 3.9 thousand.
Like, I know Ottawa's bad. Honestly, I don't think
Chicago might be, too.
Chicago probably is as well. And Chicago is pretty cheap playing against Ottawa. I mean, DeBrincat 4.9, that's not bad. Saad is, I think, a little bit underrated. I think he could have a bounce back year. If you
playing with Kane now, right?
Playing with Kane. So I'm just saying, like, the Kane Saad, maybe you throw in Mark Stone. Like, there's going to be probably goals in this game. I don't think the goaltending is all that great, and the defense is definitely not. So just something to consider. I think that game's going to go really overlooked, and I think there's pieces there that you can grab and get some really good, GPP kind of style exposure that might go overlooked.
Okay, let's do some guaranteed goals and close out the show. Be sure to join the group me for more up-to-date analysis on like lines and stuff. Everyone will be talking throughout the day tomorrow. So be sure to DM us on Twitter at MorningscapePod if you want in. DJ, do you have a guaranteed goal for us?
Give me 1 second. 11,000, right?
Yep, that's what we are doing.
Oh man! All right. Well, I want Eichel. I'm going Eichel. I don't care what anyone says.
Okay.
And I was gonna go with Bjorkstrand, but I'm just a couple hundred off, so I'm gonna have to go a little bit lower. I'm gonna go with. Drum roll, please. Just kidding. You don't need to. I don't know right now. Who did we say?
DJ, what? Podcasting pro tip. Truncate silence is an option, and it cuts out all the silence between you, Hemon, and Han. So it'll sound like you're not an idiot if you just say nothing.
You have your high price guy?
I actually don't have my high price guy. Ooh, I have my low price guy.
Oh, you got the mid tiers, baby.
I have my low price guy. Anthony Beauvillier, 4.5, playing with Matthew Barzal and Josh Bailey, two of the best passers on that Islanders team. Honestly, two of the best passers maybe in the NHL. Like, I know Bailey played with Tavares and that boosted his totals, but like his assist totals. But Beauvillier is really talented offensively, and even if he doesn't have that vaunted power play 1 job, I think at 5-on-5 there's more than enough there for 4,500 to make him the focal point of that, the shooting focal point of that line, and I think that he makes good on it against this Carolina team starting who in that because Scott Darling's out.
Yeah, wow. I mean, they picked up McElhinney, but
right. Ugh. Yeah, so it'll be Mrazek, I think. Yeah, it'll be Mrazek, but so yeah, I think Beauvillier is my cheap guy. That leaves me with 6,500. Do you have your other guy ready to go?
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure. I just don't want to feel really confident in, but then again, if you're at I'm at 4-1, so I doubt I'm going to feel super duper confident anyways. So I might just go really cheap with a guy that I mentioned earlier. Go with a guy like where did he go? You know what? I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say Valentin Zykov. As long as I don't know where he's going to slot in the lineup, but I'm really hopeful that
I
he can
think
get in
he's
there.
playing on Aho's line.
Yeah, I think so too. So I'm going to go Valentin Zykov. I know we didn't even mention him during the show, but I think at 3.8, if he is on Aho's line, he's an excellent trigger guy with a very, very, very good shot. So I'll go Valentin Zykov, but that's kind of barring what their lines end up turning out to be tomorrow. We don't have it confirmed. They'll do a morning skate, so we'll know.
And all right, to wrap it up, I'm going to go with Patrick Laine. Kind of boring, 6.3, not a great matchup against St. Louis, but I think the price on Laine makes perfect sense for a one-off in GPPs. I'll probably have him 10 to 15%, and I think I'll be at least double, triple the field because he's probably going to go overlooked here, even at this low price, just because there's so many options in, above, and around him. So yeah, let's leave the show right there. Anything you want to add before we head off, Deej?
Not really. Just follow us on Twitter at MorningscapePod. You can follow our individual accounts, which will at DJ_Mitchell and 94 and fake moods. Definitely review the podcast. It really helps us a lot. Just stay tuned for any further notes. We're still working on t-shirts. We'll get those. We're going to get those together soon. And if you join the group me, you can have a little bit of say in what the design looks like and all that stuff. So if you're thinking about getting a t-shirt, please do. I definitely want to get some numbers together because I'm planning on just doing 50. But if you are interested in the t-shirt, let us know. Maybe I could put out a couple tweets about it once we get a little bit more confirmed on them, just so I know how many to order. Because if we're going to do 50, 50 is fine. If I get 100 people that say I'm buying a shirt, we'll do 100. So it's all going to be a really seamless process. It's going to be very official when we do it. Other than that, just, win some big money. So feel free to send us screenshots of winnings too. Don't feel afraid. We'll definitely keep them. Don't be afraid to do anything that would help us because it helps us.
I would second all of that. So do what DJ said. And remember to thank Doug in the group me if you see him chatting around because, like he said, he is super busy and he does this out of the goodness of his heart. Like for whatever reason, he just loves DJ and I enough to spend hours a day grinding, learning all this computer programming stuff. And instead of using it to make money or do things that would save the world, he uses it to predict daily fantasy hockey output. So be sure to give him some gratitude in the group me when you check him out. So with that said, hopefully one of us takes down the big money on Wednesday's slate. But if we don't, take it down on Thursday's slate. For Doug, from DJ, from myself, have a good slate, everybody, and we will see ya.